There are moments in life when you are moving towards something important, but from the outside, it looks like nothing is happening. No visible progress, no obvious signs, no confirmation that the destination is getting closer. And that can be frustrating, especially when your heart is waiting for something it cannot yet see. But just because you cannot see the journey doesn't mean the journey isn't happening. I want you to understand that sometimes the greatest changes in our lives happen quietly, behind the scenes, in places where nobody is watching. A person can be changing their mindset, rebuilding their life, learning from their mistakes, healing from their past, and becoming stronger without saying a single word about it. So if you are waiting for me, don't assume that silence means I have stopped moving. I may be farther away than you expected. I may have obstacles in front of me that you know nothing about. There may be things I need to fix before I can stand beside you with confidence. But every step I take is bringing me closer to the person I want to become, and, ultimately, closer to you. Because I don't want to arrive in your life as the same person who started this journey. I want to arrive better, stronger, wiser, more prepared. I want the struggles I experience to have meaning. I want every mistake to teach me something. I want every disappointment to make me more capable of appreciating what I finally find. And maybe that's what this waiting period is really about. It isn't simply about waiting for someone to appear. It's about becoming ready for what happens when they do. You might be asking yourself, how long do I have to wait? I understand that question. Waiting without certainty can be difficult. There are nights when your mind creates doubts. You wonder whether you imagine the connection. You wonder whether the other person still thinks about you. You wonder whether the future you pictured will ever become real. But don't let uncertainty destroy something that time has not yet finished revealing. You don't need to know every step of the journey. You only need to keep moving forward with your own life. Live, grow, build, learn, become stronger. Don't sit in one place staring at the door, waiting for someone to walk through it. Build a life so meaningful that when that person finally arrives, they are joining a life that already has purpose. And that's what I am trying to do too. I am not simply trying to reach you physically. I am trying to reach you emotionally, mentally, and spiritually as someone capable of giving you the kind of love that doesn't disappear when life becomes difficult. I want my arrival to mean something. I want you to look back one day and realize that the delays weren't rejection. The distance wasn't the end. The silence wasn't proof that everything was over. It was simply part of the road. Because sometimes two people can be moving toward each other without realizing how close they actually are. One person is healing, the other is growing. One is learning patience, the other is learning commitment. One is preparing their heart, the other is preparing their future, and somewhere between all those invisible changes, their paths begin to come together. So don't be afraid of the fact that you can't see everything yet. The most important things in life are often invisible before they become undeniable. Trust the process. Trust your growth. And most importantly, don't stop becoming the person you were meant to be simply because the person you're waiting for hasn't arrived yet. Because when the right moment finally comes, I don't want you to say, I wasted my life waiting. I want you to say, now I understand why I had to wait. And when that day comes, you won't need an explanation for the journey. You'll simply know that every step was bringing us closer. You may not see me coming yet, but every step I take is bringing me closer to you. And when I finally arrive, you'll understand that the wait was never wasted. Please don't give up on us before I arrive. I know waiting can become exhausting. I know there are moments when silence feels louder than words, when distance starts creating questions, and when your heart begins wondering whether it is still worth believing. There may be days when you tell yourself, maybe I should stop waiting, maybe I should move on, maybe this was never meant to happen. But before you make that decision, I want you to remember something. Not everything that is delayed is denied. Sometimes life creates distance because there are things that need to happen before two people can truly come together. Sometimes the timing isn't right because one person is still growing, still healing, still learning what it means to love without fear. Sometimes the road becomes difficult, not because the destination is wrong, but because the people traveling toward it are being prepared for something bigger. So please, don't let one difficult chapter convince you that the entire story is over. I don't expect you to wait endlessly or put your entire life on hold for me. That's not what love should ask of you. I want you to live your life. Chase your dreams, become stronger, laugh again, build something you're proud of, take care of yourself, become the person you were always capable of becoming. But while you're doing that, don't destroy the possibility of us simply because you cannot see the final destination yet. There is a difference between waiting and believing. Waiting says, nothing can happen until you arrive. Believing says, I will keep moving forward, and if our paths are meant to meet, I will be ready when they do. That's the kind of patience I want you to have, because I am not asking you to believe in empty promises. I want my actions to eventually speak louder than anything I could say today. I want to arrive with evidence that the journey changed me. I want you to see that the challenges didn't stop me. They taught me. The failures didn't destroy me. They strengthened me. The distance didn't erase what mattered. It made me understand its value. And maybe you are afraid that by the time I arrive, you will have changed too much. Maybe you wonder whether your heart will still recognize mine. But people change. That's part of life. And sometimes two people have to grow separately before they can grow together. So if you're tired, rest. If you're hurt, heal. If you're confused, give yourself time, but don't make a permanent decision based on a temporary season of uncertainty. You don't have to force anything. You don't have to chase anyone. You don't have to beg for love. Real connection should never require you to abandon your dignity. Keep your standards. Keep your identity. Keep building your future. And if I truly belong in that future, I will have to meet you there through effort, consistency, honesty, and action. That's what I want. Not a fantasy, not a temporary feeling, not words that sound beautiful for a few minutes and disappear when life becomes difficult. I want something strong enough to survive reality, because when I finally arrive, I want you to feel safe, not confused. I want you to feel chosen, not uncertain. I want you to see commitment, not excuses. Until then, keep becoming everything you were meant to become. Don't close your heart because you've been disappointed before. Don't let someone else's failure teach you that love itself is impossible. Don't let yesterday's pain write tomorrow's story. Your future deserves a chance, and maybe our future does too. So keep walking, keep growing, keep believing in the possibility of something better. I am still on my way, and when the distance finally disappears, I want us to look back at every difficult moment and realize that neither of us gave up too soon. So don't close the door just because you can't hear my footsteps yet. Sometimes the person coming toward you is closer than your heart can possibly imagine. Everything I've been through is preparing me for you. When I look back at my life, I can see things differently now. There were moments I once considered failures. There were people I trusted who disappointed me. There were opportunities I lost, plans that didn't work, and seasons when I had no idea where my life was going. At the time, I couldn't understand why I had to experience those things. But maybe I wasn't supposed to understand them then. Maybe some experiences only make sense when you look back. Every difficult moment taught me something. Every disappointment showed me something about myself. Every failure forced me to become more patient, more disciplined, and more aware of what truly matters. And now I realize that the person I am becoming is being shaped by everything I survived. That's why I don't want to run from my past anymore. I want to learn from it, because if I had never experienced heartbreak, maybe I wouldn't understand the value of loyalty. If I had never experienced loneliness, maybe I wouldn't understand the importance of presence. If I had never lost something important, maybe I wouldn't know how precious it is to protect what I love. The past doesn't have to remain a prison. It can become a classroom. And that's what I'm choosing to make it. I don't want to come into your life carrying the same weaknesses that once controlled me. I don't want to repeat the same mistakes and expect a different result. I don't want to promise you a future while remaining trapped in the person I used to be. I want to grow. I want to become someone who understands that love isn't just about beautiful moments. It's about showing up when things become difficult. It's about communication when silence would be easier. It's about patience when emotions are high. It's about choosing honesty when a lie would temporarily protect you. Real love requires a person who has done some work on themselves, and that's what this journey has been teaching me. Maybe you think I've been moving slowly. Maybe you think I should have arrived sooner. But there are things you cannot rush. You cannot rush emotional maturity. You cannot rush healing. You cannot rush wisdom. You cannot build a strong future on an unstable foundation and expect it to survive the first storm. So I've had to rebuild certain parts of myself. I've had to question what I believed. I've had to let go of things that no longer belonged in my future. I've had to become comfortable with being alone so that I wouldn't choose someone simply because I was afraid of loneliness. And that matters. Because when I finally stand beside you, I don't want to need you because I cannot survive without you. I want to choose you because I have built a life strong enough to share. That's a completely different kind of love. And maybe you've been going through your own preparation too. Maybe your heartbreaks, disappointments, and difficult seasons have been shaping you in ways you don't fully recognize yet. Maybe you're becoming stronger too. Maybe the reason we haven't reached each other yet is because we are both still becoming the people who can actually build the future we imagine. I don't believe every painful experience has a predetermined purpose, but I do believe we can give our experiences purpose by what we choose to learn from them. That's what I'm doing now. I'm taking every lesson with me. I'm leaving the unnecessary pain behind. I'm becoming more intentional about who I am, what I want, and what kind of future I want to create. So when I say I'm coming toward you, I don't mean I'm simply traveling a physical distance. I'm crossing a distance within myself. I'm becoming more prepared, more grounded, more capable of loving you through reality, not just through beautiful words. And when we finally meet, I don't want you to meet the person my past created. I want you to meet the person my growth created. Because everything I've been through has brought me one step closer to understanding what truly matters. And if that journey leads me to you, then none of those lessons were wasted. I didn't survive my past just to repeat it. I survived it to become the person capable of building the future I've been searching for. With you, I'm becoming the person you deserve, and I want you to understand what that really means. It doesn't mean I'm trying to become perfect, because perfection doesn't exist. It means I'm becoming more intentional about the person I am, the decisions I make, and the future I want to create. If I'm asking you to believe in a future with me, then I have to become someone capable of building that future. Love isn't just about finding someone who makes your heart beat faster. It's about becoming someone who can protect that connection when life becomes complicated. It's easy to talk about forever when everything feels exciting. The real test comes when circumstances change, when stress appears, when plans fail, when misunderstandings happen, and when both people have difficult days. That's when character matters. And that's what I'm working on. I'm learning to become more patient instead of reacting immediately. I'm learning to communicate instead of disappearing into silence. I'm learning to listen instead of always trying to prove that I'm right. I'm learning that strength isn't about never admitting you're wrong. Sometimes strength is having enough humility to say, I made a mistake and I'm going to do better. I want to become that kind of person, not because you demanded it, because you deserve it. You deserve someone who doesn't only show up when it's convenient. someone who doesn't make you question where you stand, someone who doesn't give you beautiful words today and completely different behavior tomorrow. You deserve consistency, and I know consistency requires discipline, so I'm building that discipline in my own life. I'm becoming more focused. I'm learning to protect my time, my energy, and my priorities. I'm working toward goals that matter. I'm becoming comfortable with difficult decisions and long periods of uncertainty. I'm learning that meaningful things aren't usually built overnight. A strong relationship is no different. You can't build something lasting from temporary effort. That's why I don't want to arrive in your life with nothing but promises. I want to arrive with evidence of growth. I want my actions to tell you what my words cannot fully explain. I want you to see someone who has learned from his past instead of being controlled by it. Someone who understands that love is not ownership. Someone who knows that trust has to be earned. Someone who understands that your dreams matter too. Because if we're going to build a future together, I don't want you to disappear inside my life. I want both of us to become more ourselves, because we chose each other. I want to support your ambitions while pursuing mine. I want to celebrate your victories without feeling threatened by them. I want to stand beside you when things are difficult, not just when everything looks perfect. And that requires growth. It requires me to keep working on myself, even after I feel like I've made progress. Because becoming the person you deserve isn't a finish line, it's a lifelong process. There will always be something to improve, something to understand, something to learn, some weakness that needs attention, some fear that needs to be faced, and I'm willing to do that work, not because I believe you will complete me. You won't, and I don't want you to. I want us to be two complete people who choose to build something greater together. That's the difference between needing someone and choosing someone. I want to choose you from a place of strength, not desperation. So while you are waiting for me, I'm not standing still. I'm working, I'm learning, I'm growing. I'm becoming more capable of giving you the kind of relationship I hope we can create. And maybe one day you'll look at me and realize that the person who finally arrived was different from the person who started the journey. You'll see the patience, the discipline, the lessons, the failures, and the growth written into the way I treat you. And you'll understand that I wasn't simply trying to reach you. I was preparing myself for the responsibility of loving you. I'm not becoming perfect for you. I'm becoming stronger, wiser, and better. So when I finally reach you, I can give you more than promises. I can give you a future worth believing in. The distance between us won't decide our story. I know distance can make everything feel more complicated. When someone isn't physically beside you, your mind starts filling in the empty spaces. You begin wondering what they're thinking, whether they still care, whether the connection is strong enough to survive the miles between you. But distance is only a measurement. It tells us how far apart two places are. It doesn't tell us how deeply two people can care about each other. And that's an important difference, because two people can sit in the same room and still feel a million miles apart. They can share the same house, the same routine, even the same life, and yet never truly understand each other. At the same time, two people can be separated by oceans, cities, or circumstances and still feel incredibly close. So I don't want us to measure our connection by geography. I want us to measure it by effort, by consistency, by trust, by the choices we make when nobody is watching. Because if something is real, distance may test it, but distance doesn't automatically destroy it. In fact, sometimes distance reveals what something is made of. When you're close to someone, it's easy to confuse convenience with commitment. You see them often. You can talk whenever you want. You can solve small problems simply by being physically present. But when distance enters the equation, you have to make a conscious decision. You have to choose communication. You have to choose patience. You have to choose trust. You have to keep moving forward even when you can't simply reach out and touch the person you care about. and that's difficult. I won't pretend it isn't. There will be days when you miss me. There will be moments when you wish I were standing beside you. There may be nights when the distance feels heavier than usual. But those moments don't have to become the definition of our story. They can become part of the story. Because every meaningful journey has obstacles. The question isn't whether the road will be difficult. The question is whether what we're building is worth continuing through the difficult parts. And I believe it is. That's why I'm not allowing distance to become an excuse. I'm not going to say, it's too far, and use that as a reason to stop growing, stop trying, or stop moving forward. Instead, I'm going to look at the distance as something that can be crossed. Every great achievement begins with a gap between where you are and where you want to be. You don't eliminate that gap by staring at it. You eliminate it one step at a time. That's how I'm thinking about us. One conversation at a time, one decision at a time, one day at a time, one step closer. And maybe you need to think about it the same way. Don't allow the entire distance to overwhelm you. You don't have to cross the whole road today. You just have to take the next step. Keep living your life. Keep growing. Keep becoming stronger. And if we're both moving in the same direction, then eventually the distance has fewer places to hide, because distance can separate bodies, it can create delays, it can create challenges, but it cannot make a decision for us. We decide what our story means. We decide whether obstacles become excuses or opportunities. We decide whether uncertainty makes us quit or makes us stronger. And I don't want our story to be written by circumstances we didn't choose. I want it written by the choices we make, despite those circumstances. So if you're somewhere far away from me right now, remember this. I don't measure our future by how many miles separate us today. I measure it by how much we're willing to do to close those miles tomorrow. One day, the distance that once seemed impossible may simply become a memory we talk about. We'll look back and say, we really made it through all of that. And maybe that's when we'll understand that the distance wasn't the thing that kept us apart. It was simply the road we had to travel before we could finally stand together. Distance may measure how far apart we are today, but it will never decide how close we can become tomorrow. When I finally reach you, you'll understand the weight. Right now, those words might sound like a promise that belongs somewhere far away in the future. Maybe you're still wondering when that moment will come. Maybe you've had enough of waiting, enough of uncertainty, enough of wondering whether all the hope you've carried has a destination. But I believe there are moments in life that cannot be rushed. There are moments that have to arrive when we are ready for them. Think about everything that has happened between where you were and where you are now. Every difficult day, every disappointment, every unexpected turn, every moment when you thought you were falling behind. At the time, those experiences probably felt like interruptions. But sometimes what feels like a delay is actually preparation. You don't always recognize preparation while you're living through it. You simply feel the struggle. You wonder why things aren't moving faster. You wonder why the door hasn't opened. You wonder why the person you've been waiting for hasn't arrived. And then, one day, something changes. Suddenly, you understand why certain things had to happen first. That's what I want you to believe about this journey. When I finally reach you, I don't want you to remember only the waiting. I want you to understand what the waiting created. It created patience. It created strength. It taught us how to stand on our own before trying to stand together. It taught us that love isn't just about wanting someone. It's about becoming someone capable of building something meaningful with them. And that's why I'm not afraid of the time it takes. I would rather take longer and arrive prepared than arrive too early and destroy something beautiful because I wasn't ready for it. I don't want to bring you half of myself. I don't want to arrive carrying unresolved anger, old fears, unnecessary pride, and the same mistakes that caused pain in the past. I want to arrive having learned. I want to arrive understanding what commitment actually requires. I want to know how to communicate when things become difficult. I want to know how to listen when you need to be heard. I want to know how to remain steady when life stops being easy. Because the moment I finally reach you shouldn't simply be a romantic moment. It should be the beginning of something real. Something that can survive ordinary days. Something that can survive pressure. Something that can survive disagreement without falling apart. Something that doesn't need constant excitement to remain meaningful. And maybe that's why the wait has been necessary. Maybe we needed this time to become stronger individually before becoming stronger together. So don't look at this period only as time that has passed. Look at it as time that has built something inside us. Every day you've continued forward, you've become stronger. Every day I've continued forward, I've become stronger. And every lesson brings us closer to the people we need to be when our paths finally meet. I know there will be a moment when the waiting is no longer waiting. There will be a moment when the distance disappears. There will be a moment when all the conversations, hopes, doubts, dreams, and unanswered questions become something tangible, and perhaps we'll sit together and realize that the story was much bigger than we understood. We'll remember the days when we almost gave up. We'll remember the nights when we questioned everything. We'll remember how long the road seemed, and then we'll look at each other and realize that we made it. That's the moment I want you to hold on to when doubt becomes loud, not because I want you to freeze your life and wait for me, but because I want you to keep believing that your future can still surprise you. Keep growing, keep living, keep becoming stronger. And if our paths are meant to meet, I want both of us to arrive at that moment, ready to recognize what we've been building toward. Because the best part of finally reaching something isn't simply having it, it's understanding everything it took to get there. So when I finally reach you, I hope you don't look at the past and ask why it took so long. I hope you look at me, smile, and realize that every step brought us exactly where we needed to be. And when I finally reach you, you won't need me to explain the wait. You'll look into my eyes and realize that every delayed moment was leading us toward this one. Don't lose yourself while you're waiting for me. This is something I need you to understand more than anything else. If you're waiting for someone you love, it's easy to start putting your own life on pause. You begin measuring your days by how long it has been since you last heard from them. You stop chasing certain dreams because you're thinking about what your future might look like with them. Slowly, without even realizing it, you can start making someone else's arrival the center of your entire existence. I don't want that for you. I don't want you sitting still, watching the door, wondering when I'll finally appear. I want you living. I want you building. I want you becoming stronger. Because if I'm truly coming toward you, I don't want to find someone who spent all this time waiting and forgot who they were. I want to find the person who kept growing while believing in the possibility of us. Keep pursuing your goals. Keep learning. Keep creating. Keep taking care of yourself. Keep discovering things that make you excited about life. Don't abandon your dreams because you're waiting for love. The right relationship shouldn't make your world smaller. It should give you another reason to make your world bigger. And I want you to remember that your life has value before I arrive. You don't need another person to prove that you're worthy. You don't need someone else's attention to validate your existence. You don't need a relationship to make you complete. You already have a life that deserves to be lived fully. That's important because love becomes healthier when two people choose each other from a place of strength rather than desperation. I don't want you to need me because you're afraid of being alone. I want you to choose me because even though you can stand on your own, you believe we can build something better together. There's a huge difference between those two things. So while I'm on my way, keep moving on your own path, wake up with purpose, work towards something, take risks, make mistakes, try again, become curious about the world, Surround yourself with people who encourage you to grow. Take care of the dreams you had before you ever knew my name, because those dreams are part of who you are. And I don't want to meet a version of you that has been reduced by waiting. I want to meet the version of you that became stronger because of it. Maybe this period isn't about waiting for me at all. Maybe it's about preparing yourself for the life you want. Maybe the greatest gift of this distance is that it gives you time to discover what you truly want, what you truly value, and what kind of future you are willing to work for. And if I become part of that future, I want to add to it, not replace it. I want to walk beside you while you continue becoming who you're meant to become. I want your success to matter, your happiness to matter, your dreams to matter, your independence to matter. Because if we're going to build something lasting, I don't want one person carrying the entire weight of the relationship. I want two people moving forward together. Two people with their own identities, two people with their own goals, two people who can stand alone but still choose to stand together. So please, don't measure your life by the amount of time you've spent waiting for me. Measure it by everything you've accomplished during that time. Look at how much you've learned. Look at how much you've survived. Look at the person you're becoming. That's the person I want to meet. And when the day finally comes, I don't want you to tell me, I waited for you and lost myself. I want you to tell me, while I was waiting, I found myself, because that's far more powerful. Maybe the journey toward love isn't supposed to make you forget who you are. Maybe it's supposed to help you discover who you are. So keep living, keep building, keep becoming. If our paths meet, I want to join the life you've built, not rescue you from a life you stopped living. And if I truly am on my way to you, then I want you to be moving forward too. Don't wait for me by standing still. Become everything you were meant to be. So, when I finally arrive, I'm not finding someone who waited for me, but someone who grew into the person I was hoping to meet. Just wait for me. I'm coming with a future, not just words. I don't want to make promises that sound beautiful for a moment and then disappear when life becomes difficult. Words are easy. Anyone can say, I'll be there. Anyone can talk about forever. Anyone can describe a beautiful future, but building that future is different. It requires discipline. It requires sacrifice. It requires patience, consistency, and the willingness to keep going when the excitement fades. That's why I don't want you to judge what I'm saying only by what you hear today. Judge it by what I become. Judge it by what I build. Judge it by whether my actions eventually match the words coming out of my mouth. Because if I'm coming toward you, I want to arrive with something real. I want to arrive with a life that has direction, a future that has purpose, a heart that understands commitment, a mind that has learned from the past, and the strength to stand beside you when life isn't easy. I'm not promising that our future will be perfect. I don't believe in perfect futures. There will be challenges. There will be disagreements. There will be unexpected problems. There will be days when we don't understand each other immediately. But I can promise that I don't want to run when things become difficult. I want to learn how to solve problems instead of becoming another problem. I want to communicate instead of disappearing. I want to listen instead of assuming. I want to build trust instead of demanding it, because a future together isn't created by one dramatic moment. It's created through thousands of small decisions. It's waking up and choosing each other again. It's keeping your word when nobody is watching. It's showing up when the other person needs you. It's respecting each other's dreams. It's being honest even when honesty is uncomfortable. It's forgiving without forgetting the lessons. It's growing without expecting the other person to remain exactly the same. That's the future I want. And that's why I'm working on myself now. I'm not waiting until you arrive to start becoming responsible. I'm not waiting until we are together to figure out what kind of person I need to be. The preparation starts now. Every goal I pursue, every lesson I learn, every weakness I confront, Every decision I make is part of that preparation because I don't want to reach you empty-handed. I want to bring something more valuable than material things. I want to bring stability, loyalty, effort, understanding, vision, and the willingness to keep building. Maybe you have heard promises before. Maybe someone once told you they would stay and then disappeared. Maybe you've experienced people who knew exactly what to say, but didn't know how to follow through. I understand why that could make you skeptical. So don't believe me simply because the words sound good. Watch the actions. Let time reveal the truth. Let consistency become the evidence. Because real commitment doesn't need to constantly announce itself. Eventually, it becomes visible in behavior. And that's what I want you to see. I want you to see someone who doesn't just talk about the future, but works toward it. Someone who doesn't just dream about a meaningful relationship, but understands the responsibility required to maintain one. Someone who isn't looking for a temporary escape from loneliness, but is prepared to build something lasting. So, if you're waiting for me, don't wait for a perfect person. Wait for someone willing to keep growing. Wait for someone who understands that love is not simply a feeling you experience. It's a responsibility you choose. And while you're waiting, keep building your own future too. Because I don't want to arrive and become your entire world. I want to arrive and become part of a world you've already worked hard to create. Then we can take what we've built individually and create something neither of us could have created alone. That's what makes the journey worth it. Not simply finding each other, but becoming strong enough to build something after we do. So yes, I'm on my way, but I'm not coming with empty promises. I'm coming with lessons from my past, strength from my struggles, plans for tomorrow, and a commitment to turn words into action. And when the time comes, I won't need to convince you that I meant what I said. You'll be able to see it. You'll be able to feel it. You'll be living inside the future we once only talked about. So wait for me if your heart still believes. But know this. I'm not coming to give you another promise. I'm coming to build the future my words have been trying to describe.